Hello, my name is Mandolin Royal, and today I'm going to try to collect my thoughts, and I'm going to do that with you guys. It's been a wild past couple of months, and I am way overdue for giving an update on what I'm doing here and why. And we've had, obviously, some family stuff and personal things pop up that want to get in the way. And I find my birds are helping a lot as we go through those things. And it gives me something to focus on other than bad news. Which isn't totally terrible. Like, don't freak out on my behalf. But I've got other stuff on my brain, and I'm going to use these birds as a reason to think of things outside of the box. And also give you some insight into what we're doing and why it matters. And I have no idea how long this video is going to be, so go ahead and buckle up and we'll see where we get to. I have my evaluation station all set up. I've got my scale, I've got my notepad, I have my sorting and review cage set up. I have today's egg hoard. Pullet eggs are in the tray. They're too small to even full with unless I wanted to do like some super cute hors d'oeuvres. But my plan here is to take the basket to the kitchen and take the tray and feed it to the pigs. That way I don't hatch anything that's too small to be hatched. Hatching eggs are getting hoarded up in the hatch room at a stable temperature. Because it is cold here today. But that doesn't make the work stop. So as you can see, I have several pens with a whole bunch of white birds in them. If you haven't been keeping up with the journey so far, these white birds are American Bresse. They are my breeding operation that keep us well supplied in freezer birds and eggs. They do everything I need a chicken to do, basically. And my aim is to teach you guys how to get your birds to be productive, useful, fun to have around, and to fill you in on the reasons why we do what we do, why it matters, even if you're working with a different breed. Because a lot of the core principles, they're the same. I'm going to tell you that right now. We have run through the gauntlet of available poultry. It is important to note that you can get performance from a hybrid, but you can't breed it. You can breed in performance to a purebred, but it takes work, and I want to teach the work of it. No matter what breed you subscribe to, really. Principles are principles. So I'm going to cut this off, gather my thoughts, get some birds in the evaluation cage, and figure out what today's video is going to be about. It's probably going to tie into the fact that I have 2 to 3 different types of these birds that do what they should do, but they look different, they feel different, they handle different, and they grow a little bit different. And I think I should talk about those differences because what you have in your flock is probably similar to one, at least, hopefully. I don't know. But we're going to figure it out, and I'm going to clue you guys in onto what matters and why from the angles of productive, accurate, purebred birds and what that can mean for your homestead. All right, so here we are with 3 boys. They were hard to catch. We're going to go into that here in a second when I talk about temperament and the way that they are. But first and foremost, we need to cover age and weight, plus some other details about why these guys are still here. Because these are the best of the best from all of last season. Now, I hatched my little heart out and I grew out a big pile of birds. It was somewhere between 400 and 500. I didn't take good enough notes to know exactly how many. But these are the best 3 of the smaller and lighter weight birds. And this is where it gets tricky and subjective because these birds are not bony. These birds grew really, really well And when you put your hands on them, they feel fantastic. I wish these hens would shut up and let me speak. So, in position 1, that bird is 6 pounds even and 4.5 months old. Position 2 is 7 pounds at 7 months. Position 3 is 6 pounds 9 ounces at 8 months old. These guys are most suitable to a free-range, self-sufficient, land-race sort of environment. It was really difficult to catch them. I had to chase them. They were not the big, boxy, easy-going type where I can just walk up and grab them. These guys made me work for it. You can see in how this one is pacing. The others are probably going to pace as well. These guys are always going to have an eye on the sky for hawks. They're going to be diligent to anything out of the ordinary. And they take excellent care of the females. I can put super young pullets with these guys and they treat them with respect. Notice how similar to each other they are. There's some differences we're going to get into. But the most important thing about why I have these guys is because they were meaty when they hatched and they stayed meaty for the duration of growth. So it wouldn't have mattered if I processed them at 10 weeks, 14 weeks, 20 weeks. The look of the carcass was going to be the same. And I have some other notes on some other body types that we're going to talk about and how the growth rate can vary within this breed. But if you look at these guys, like when he just stood up real tall, that outline of his chest, that meat is right underneath those feathers. Where they look meaty is really meaty. And just look at the width on the underside. We can go ahead and call these guys small but mighty. And I'm probably going to end up putting them with females that are as big as they are to see what that does. I might use the best one. It's probably this guy in the middle or the younger one. The younger one got bigger, faster, and held it. But he doesn't have the white earlobes that the guy in the middle has. Now in the pen environment, these guys are nowhere near as flighty as they're acting now. I have not done a good job on handling them frequently. And I do that on purpose because I want to see more of like how they are on their own. Man, I ruffled up some feathers too. This guy was especially difficult to get in here. What I absolutely love the most about these guys is how they grew and how fleshy they are and their feed conversion rate. Because these smaller, more compact birds, they do not eat as much as the bigger boned, slower growing birds. I mean, they almost physically can't. Now this size, type, and structure is more in line with like the French standard, not the commercial type. Gosh, I like all of these a lot. I have one other male that fits within this category, but I only have a 3-hole spot here. So I'm going to take some more notes on these guys. I'm going to measure out their bone spacing. See if we can figure out who the reigning champ is going to be. But honestly, they're pretty similar to each other. And then I'm going to dive into the other body style and show you the differences there. And then I'm going to show you a side-by-side on how different these birds are, even though they're the same breed. And then I'm going to talk about what all you need to pay attention to for the specific type that you have when it comes to this breed. The core principles are still going to be the same, and that is growth rate, fleshing, what they feel like, their bone spacing. And I'm probably going to have to do another video that talks about the breed standard and what it says and how that relates to both of these types of birds. The details are kind of wild, but I love it. Going through this and using knowledge with experience, this is totally different than what I was doing 5 years ago. It's pretty neat just thinking about the evolution and what's happened here. But let's break apart these birds and see what's happening. I'm gonna give you the hand measurements on these guys, well, at least one of them, and then a comparable bird of the different body structure. So let me turn this off and see what's going on, and then swap out some birds and fill you in on what I found. I think this guy has the best width. He keeps showing it over and over, but this one feels the best, the young guy. What I love most about them is that they did get to weight early and then kept it and maintained it without overshooting it. There is a max weight to get to, but I'm going to cover that when I go into the bigger bodied birds. Look at the difference in the pacing and the reduced activity. These two guys are new to this cage. I literally just put them in there. But I kept the younger guy because after doing the handling part, I really think this younger one is the very best out of all the lightweight males. These two, they're similar age, a little bit different in weight. Let me go ahead and fill you guys in on that. So in that middle position, he was 7 pounds 4 ounces, and the guy on the end was 6 pounds 12 ounces. I'm going to make that little guy stand up a little more so we can see the size differences. And the size difference is all about the frame and the structure. These just have a much larger body capacity that's relative to their overall size. These guys, for their size, also have a pretty good body capacity, but they're just overall a different sort of frame. See if I can get him to move without completely freaking out. There's a difference in height. If you look at where the back is, that's a good 2 to 3 inches different in height. The width, that's a wider spread in between the legs. These guys are a month older but younger than the other two I had here. The thickness of the bone is different. Nah, don't sneak out. No. The big-bodied, lazier birds wouldn't have done that to me. There was no way I was going to be able to handle those younger guys on camera. It was so dramatic. So I think I prefer the easygoing temperament that these guys have. And now that this position is open, I'm going to bring over another male. And he is a line cross of the bigger bodied birds. So these two are pure to my original line. The smaller guys are the results of a line cross with a different male. And I'm going to bring over the last guy standing from a different line cross. Show you what's different there. Either of these two would be real easy to do a hands-on evaluation with, so I'll go ahead and pick one of them to do that with. But let me grab the other guy now that this spot is suddenly available. I'm going to put the other one away. Probably without catching them. I'll probably just open the gate and steer them in. All right, so new bird in position 1. He is the last bird standing from the line cross that I did with the North Star Farms male. I do have some older videos with some of the mentioning of using the North Star boy. And this guy won best bird from the effort. So he weighs in at 7 pounds 2 ounces. So he's right in between these two guys. Similar age. This one is a month older than these other two guys. He's taller than both of them. The body shape is a little bit different. And right now I'm looking at what I gained and what I lost in doing that line cross. Keeping in mind that the sire, the bird directly from North Star Farms, he was not first place in his shipped batch. A friend of mine who's local, she had brought some in, and this guy, I can't remember if he was number 4 or number 5 in the lineup of results. But this bird's father got a reprieve from the freezer so I could play around and see what we would get. So what I gained is a thicker, fuller tail on a bigger bodied bird. These guys, their tails, they're just not gonna get as thick and full as the tail on this guy. He also brought darker legs. That was part of the goal. I've been struggling since the beginning with paler than desired leg color. This guy's temperament, a little more high-strung than what my big guys do. His comb, it's probably going to end up oversized. It may or may not fall over. We'll find out. And I did lose chest depth. Chest depth is how steep the angle is and how full they are right here. Now what this bird lacks in chest depth, he more than makes up for in temperament. He is so easygoing and tolerant of me. Look, my hand is just chilling right here and he's letting me do what I need to do. He is fantastic in the coop environment and he tolerates me better than some of my own birds do. I've been struggling with chest depth. This guy is slightly better than the line cross bird. This one is better than both of them in chest depth. It's the fullness right in there. There is a certain temperament that I like. This guy has it. This one did come up with the whitest earlobes. He's got a pretty long back. He's nice and full and fleshy. I like all 3 of these, so that's why all 3 are still here. And we're going to see what kind of improvements I can get from the line cross. I am a fan of experimenting, and I understand that when I experiment, it's going to be an easy 50% to 90% or more of the offspring are going to go in the freezer. Oh my goodness. Rooster man? I wish I could change view right now. Let me do that real quick. Temperament. Temperament matters too. This guy is not worried about me. I need to get him back where we can see him. A for effort though. I like that bird a lot. Alright, we're back. I want to back him up a little bit and distract him with food. Check it out. You want some of that? You're such a weird bird. temperament is right in my top 10 list of traits to select for. I don't like the chest on this bird, but there's so many angles and so many things to pay attention to when you're breeding. I have become a very big fan of keeping more than I need, each one for a different reason and a different purpose that somehow works with our flock goals. That's enough, buddy. He's not perfect, but there's not a bird in this barn that is perfect. What do you think if I offer you? You don't want it. Now, granted, my relationship with this bird is a little bit different than this one. This one will get there. These guys pretty much came right out of their grow pens, and I haven't visited with them much since they were about 12 weeks old. After 12 weeks, I don't pay quite so much attention to them. But the one thing that I have consistently done from the very beginning is to stalk their growth. I weigh them at least every 2 weeks. I handle them. I feel for the fleshing, and I feel for everything that I need these birds to have. And so far, that has not steered me wrong. Even though I have variation in the flock, I have different body structures, different type, different growth rate, different amount of fleshing, I guess you'd say. Different temperaments, different ways of being. I've got a collection of genetics. So over the next several years, I'm still going to be plugging away at this, and I'm still going to figuring out what perfect means and how do I get there and what birds help the most in achieving the flock goals. And the beautiful thing about this breed is they're going to breed true. So when I take any of these males to the females and I hatch those fertile eggs, I'm going to get more white birds with blue feet. And there are other particular details. That's going to vary. And that's part of the fun. When you sort and select your way through them and you're taking over the part of natural selection because you're the one making the decisions. So what your flock is and what you want them to be, there's a big giant journey in there to get to what your goals are. And thinking back on everything that I've been through with these birds and everything I've tried and everything I've done with them, I am so relieved that I took ownership over what I'm producing and the reasons why, and then making that transition into teaching how you can do it too. Next season, gosh, there's a lot of ideas, but I've got some plans that are pretty rigid, and part of that's going to be a feed trial. It's going to be figuring out what the actual feed conversion for this variety is, and if there's a difference in that feed conversion based off of the physical type of the bird. We're going to get downright scientific. This guy also has the vigor of the smaller ones. As friendly as he is, he's kind of a nut job himself. I think I like the easygoing nature of my originals, but it's not going to stop me from experimenting and finding which ones are the best. So more on this later. I just needed to check in and let you guys know I'm okay. There's stuff happening, there's stuff in the works. The birds are fine. We're making progress and learning as we go. So feel free to like and subscribe as we go through this journey. Next year we're going to get more involved with it, more than I've been so far, with improved editing tools and more knowledge to back this stuff up. If you haven't handled your birds lately, go put your hands on them and hopefully they feel like they have substance. It's that substance that matters more than anything. So more on this later. We're gonna even get down into the feathers and the different ways the feathers can grow as I have babies up and coming to show you.